Hi, everybody. I'm coming to you from a little different location today. We are back to office here 3 days a week at Phoenix Contact, and it's great to see all the faces. So I just finished my salad, and I was thinking about AI. And a question comes to mind: is AI a productivity tool, or is it sort of a brain rotting amoeba in the academic space? And the question's really been on my mind since I listened to Hua Su, and I'm sorry if I butchered that, on NPR. He was discussing an article that he wrote in the New Yorker, and I'll include a link here. And it was entitled, "What Happens After AI Destroys College Writing?" And I see many of the same things in my classroom that the author of the article saw. From the obvious discussion prompts that include phrases such as, "Your peer does a nice job analyzing X, Y, or Z," where we don't even bother to change what AI spits back out, and it reads like computer speak, to papers that have little to nothing to do with the actual course material, just relying on dumping a question into ChatGPT and seeing what it spits out. So I understand really the frustration that lingers in many of my Reddit professor groups, about students who are simply devaluing the degree, that are walking away having learned absolutely nothing, where they've simply relied on ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever to complete their academic work. Is it cheating? Well, in my view, I think that kind of depends on the context. If it's an assignment that requests you to use AI to chase down a prompt and expand upon AI's answer, probably not. If you're simply using AI to analyze a complete PDF of an article or textbook and then answer the 5 questions the professor gave you, absolutely. In my view, it is. I mean, especially if you didn't take the 5 minutes to cite the work. That's a plagiarism issue, right? And to me, it's not really ethically inclined. Cheating or not isn't actually what I'm worried about with AI in the classroom. I'm worried about how much students are actually learning with the advent of AI and large language models. As a professor, I can't learn for the student. I certainly can learn new things from the student as we move along each semester, but I'm simply not capable of learning for the student, nor is any professor out there able to do so, right? It's the student's brain. I've read numerous articles of professors going back to the Blue Book, to test knowledge retention. If you remember those books where you used to write by hand, offline, using those old Blue Books to test retention, regurgitation, whatever you want to call it, with some really shocking results. In some cases, there are colleagues I have out there claiming that students are failing classes en masse when they go back to a Blue Book or use sort of an oral dissertation or oral examination that's live and in person. When those things come into play, they're kind of shocked to see the difference between the written work that comes in and what a student's actually able to regurgitate. They've had students who've relied on AI all semester long and simply cannot get information out there in a spontaneous manner. And then, never mind some of the hallucinations that come with AI, the factually inaccurate data. If you've ever done like a Copilot search and try to click on some of the references, you'll find sometimes that the references don't even talk about what they claim to talk about. That's a whole different matter entirely. But, think about the sort of pessimistic, dark example. Who is going to continue to train the LLMs with valuable data when there's nobody left to contribute anything new, because a chunk of our up-and-coming generation hasn't actually walked away with any real knowledge that they've retained? I think that's a really interesting question to me. What happens when there's nothing original in society? And I get that's a very dark view, and somebody's going to say, well, wait a second, there's always going to be some subset of the population that's going to learn. Absolutely not discounting that at all. Are we going to hit the point where we're counting on the LLMs to start generating and learning new information really autonomously? So enough of the dark stuff. I do feel like there's always new ways to help a student learn, right? We can have labs that change every single semester that a language model can't solve at the moment. You know, I've been known to change up network topologies in every single semester to combat cheating when I'm teaching networking classes. Do I have a problem if a student doesn't remember a command and uses AI to help them build a working topology? Not really, as long as it helps them learn and they know what they need to search for to complete that network. I have no real problem with that. I mean, we do a lot of similar things in practice. I also think there's some value in in-person learning and, you know, things that you can do sitting in an old-fashioned lab with hands-on equipment that we can't 100% replicate online. I think we've gotten pretty good during COVID times of getting as close as humanly possible, but there's, I think, some human elements, some socialization elements, and some other things that we just can't entirely replicate online. We can also go the way of the Blue Book. You know, it's already been proven that proctored online tests can be compromised using AI assistance. I think, of course, there's also the scenario where we as academics develop assignments based around the AI, right? Encouraging students to dig deeper and go beyond the surface level that many prompts lead to. But I think we can use a prompt to start to generate a real academic paper. It's not all bad, right? AI helps non-native speakers perform. It might offer an alternative learning strategy if students don't understand a concept. You know, its use in the workplace, which is kind of outside the scope of my thoughts here, certainly can save some serious time if one doesn't recall a concept. I just worry that we're going to have a workforce in 4 years or so that's guided entirely by what an LLM feels we should be doing. If our futures don't fully comprehend the underlying concepts. So, what's your view on AI in academia? I'm going to put the article as a link here, and you can read it and drop me some comments. But I appreciate your thoughts. So give it a read. It was really interesting. I don't know if you can go back and replay the NPR interview, but it was incredibly interesting, especially some of the questions the callers had. So that's it for now. Happy Monday.